From the center of the galaxy, direct to you live here on a Monday. This is ForceCenter, a show about Star Wars pop culture and the ultimate adventure of life itself. I'm Ken Knapsack.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw, and I am choking on the slice of cheese that I just had for my pre-lunch.
Pre-lunch it is, indeed. We're here through bad internet and, files processing and bear with us all here. Also, for those watching, Jen sends her regards and could not be here today and is not on the new show tomorrow. She's taking a week off for some life stuff, so she'll be back next week. This is going to be fun. Star Wars questions. We've got a main question. Joseph's going to present that here. We'll talk about that for a bit. That'll probably be the bulk of our discussion for this hour. But if you've got a super chat with a question related to other things, Star Wars, maybe in some other center, toss it our way. Super chats are not always necessary to join the conversation. You can comment here. So, yeah, it'll be good.
Welcome to Cheese Center, everyone. Amaranth says, cheese, I'm eating cranberry white cheddar. That sounds fantastic.
Cranberry white cheddar sounds absolutely divine. That would make a great grilled cheese sandwich.
Oh, it's so healthy. So much fruit, right? That's what I'm looking for always, is really healthy cheese. Anyway, this question is always, all of our questions come from patrons on Patreon who post these questions. We invite people to let us know a little bit of what they're thinking and why they ask these questions. And then Ken and I will share some thoughts, and we would love to get your thoughts in the comments, which you already are, which are so fascinating that I'm a little distracted. Anyway, this question comes to us from James Holmes. And James says, hello there. Just wondering if you have any headcanon that makes complete sense to you, but you struggle to explain it to others. James says, I'm convinced that after Mon Mothma's speech, her driver, Exmer Chloris, had a change in heart and was actually running up those stairs to save Mothma. The way he reacts to the speech, the fact that you don't see him pick up the blaster in the limo, and his response to Andor is, who are you, rather than yes, sir, or something. He's portrayed as bending to authority immediately. Otherwise, wasn't he told to stay put? Suggests to me that there's a chance Chloris had been turned. Is there evidence for that? No. Does it make sense logically? No. But I like the idea that he was going to tell the truth to Mothma and try to help, but was marked before he got a chance to do so. As for the why, the point of the speech was to rally folks to the cause, but he never got that chance due to Luthen's influence on Andor or something. I think this is a really fascinating question. We can address that actual question. We can also just address the general idea of headcanon. There's also some fun discussion already in the chat about what exactly is headcanon. What's your headcanon on headcanon is a fun thing to discuss. For me, headcanon is it's something that is not in the narrative, but you want it to be part of the narrative, either something entirely off screen or out of the text that isn't there. Or I think sometimes, like what James is describing, we are not given a definitive answer on Chloris's mindset. So it creates room within the text to have headcanon about the motivation. I will also say I did a show with our mutual friend Hal Lublin for about a year in Los Angeles called Headcanon. And part of the joke of that was how often people spelled the term canon with an actual N. With two N's, rather.
Two N's.
So it always amused me, the idea of, are we talking about imaginary parts of fictional narratives, or are we talking about literally a cannon projectile firing device strapped to your head? Always amused me. Anyway, Ken, do you have general thoughts about headcanon?
Yeah, it's fascinating. I think it's a needed and necessary part of being a fan of something like Star Wars or Game of Thrones or Lord of the Rings. Anything that is big, giant, has a lot of moving parts and a lot of blank space. So it's always going to be present. I think it's fun. It can certainly be dangerous. It can certainly be weaponized. That might come up in the conversations. We maybe try not to hold on to it as tightly as maybe we would have in the past. But I just think at the end of the day, it's really fun. Some of my ideas, I think, are more of, hey, I have this kind of crazy idea versus characters' motivations. But that's part of the fun, too. It's all kind of one big bucket for me. And it was interesting, especially. I'm gonna mention one today that is from 2014 in my brain. That as Star Wars continued to grow and expand with these movies that are canon, and then Legends suddenly pops up, and then we got new books to fill in the details. It's been fun and at times challenging to get more of the story that does maybe kind of rub up against some things that you think happened or wanted to.
Interesting. That's very interesting. Ken, how do you feel about James's example of headcanon that there's a possibility that Cloris had a change of heart before Andor took him out?
It's great, James. I actually can see that because there was, going back to the initial viewing, there was a little bit of, what's he doing? Because he seemed concerned, but and it's again my read. He seemed concerned initially, but I'm like, is he concerned that his target, his job, is now in the hands of Cassian? He sees that kind of happening. I think in my mind he's reacting to that, and I don't trust him. There's no reason to trust him. They do have a weird. I think you had pointed it out, or it's been in the conversation sphere before of like, Mothma knows who he is, but treats him with a little bit of respect, right? He knows his name. Perrin doesn't. Like, I think that's key. And I was just wondering if because he's still there after all these years, if there's some kind of weird kind of affinity they share for each other just on working, day to day. But at the end of the day, no, I think he was more like, I'm in trouble if I don't figure out what's going on.
James says, does it make sense logically? No. And that's part of what I like about the theory is
yes.
In our post Cinema Sins world where we want everything to make sense, I think we tell stories because humans don't make sense.
Yeah.
And I make the joke of like, hey, this film has a plot hole because this guy said he wanted to diet, but then he ate a cheeseburger. Doesn't make any sense. Like, no, that's being human. So I like the idea that Cloris could have some complexity and some nuance that doesn't make entirely logical sense. For me, I feel like there was an energy in Cloris being like, I've been close to this person. They're my job, but also they're a human that I've shared intimate space with for a long time. And that he was almost running up the stairs to just like figure out what was going on.
Yeah.
And in a different scenario, he probably would have been like, Mothma, what is going on? And had a conversation with her and probably still turned her in. But that there was at least a like, I need to speak to her. I don't think he was running up there to just like blast her. Like maybe he was conflicted and confused and like, well, I've been spying on her for years and she's kind of a troublemaker, but she's not an enemy. Who is she?
Just my job.
I need to talk to her and make sure she's okay. And which I think is, I think that is in questioning where he's at is invited in that because Mothma is shocked at the sudden violence of Cassian shooting the ISB agent in the Senate building, but it's like emotionally shocking on a different level to be like, that's Cloris. That's a person I spend time with. Yeah. And I understand he is probably a threat, but the shock of losing him. So I think that intimacy across enemy lines is inherent in that beat and invites these fun questions.
Yeah, especially from Mothma's perspective, he's probably as a kid or two, a wife, like who knows? So she's probably somewhat invested in just the shock, the reality. We got Cassian, welcome to the rebellion line, which I will say, I still am like, well, Mon would probably say that to you at some point, Cassian too, as well. But just the violence in front of her, it all kind of works. And it can go either way. James's headcanon is pretty interesting to explore.
Yeah, no, I love it. The tragedy of Cloris. Well, when we get our certain point of view book from Andor with all of the characters' heads getting their heads, maybe we'll figure it out. This is a very lively chat and a very appreciative. We got some super chats already, and this is one where people got lots of headcanon. So maybe we'll revisit this. But Ken, let's you and I share just a couple pieces of headcanon because we got plenty to get to in the chat.
We do. I'll start with a real simple one we've discussed over the years. I think it's kind of explicit at times if you're really watching that scene, but I do believe, especially after we see Solo, a Star Wars story, the film, that Han returns in large part because Chewbacca is like, dude, again, like I know the money means something, but remember when Enfys Nest offered us to come along and we weren't like, we kind of did our own thing. Like I like that, but you see what's happening here. I know you're better than this, buddy. You rescued me. You turned around for me, even though it's maybe for your own good at the time. I know you're better than this. Kira was right, dude. Kira was right, bro. Turn around. I think Chewie had something to do with it.
Just absolutely roaring in his ear. Yeah. And that's also set up by Han's like, I know what I'm doing. And Chewie's like,
yes.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Chewie's got that one big roar at the medal ceremony on Yavin that Disney Plus translates as, I believe, Gah, G-A-H, exclamation point. And I like imagining that's like, I told you.
Mm-hmm.
Told you, Han.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great one. That's a great one. I love that. A couple of my favorites over the years have been sort of canonized by publishing discussions. A long-standing one is that the Jedi robes, that it wasn't an error in the prequels that the Jedi all dressed like farmers, or that the farmers all dressed like Jedi, rather. But that those are across the galaxy variations on plain robes, the way various spiritual sects in the real world wear the plainest of garments. One that I like that I have no idea if it will ever be clarified anywhere. In Rise of Skywalker, Lando goes to give his speech to the galaxy to convince people to join the Citizens fleet. And I like the headcanon that in part he invoked the name of and the myth of, in the story of Luke Skywalker standing up to the First Order all by himself and keeping the spark alive, and let's light it up.
Let's light it up.
Yeah,
let's fly, Lando. Yeah,
let's fly, Lando. Yeah, to encourage people. So that's one. Another one I have, and then we can move on to some in the chat. So the philosophy of Jedi becoming of Force spirits, maintaining their sentience within the cosmic force, out of a practice of sacrifice and wanting to be there for others. All of those things are present with Anakin's passing into the Force, but Anakin didn't train the way Qui-Gon and Yoda and Obi-Wan did. So I like to think that Anakin fulfilled many of the needed tasks to retain immortality, but I really like the idea that Obi-Wan also kind of helped him into the cosmic force and helped him into maintaining his identity, because Obi-Wan was so happy to see Anakin make that good choice, and so desirous for Anakin to be there for Obi-Wan, and for Obi-Wan was desirous for Anakin to be there for Luke down the road.
So is this? I love this. I actually really agree with that. Is the idea that so Anakin passes, he's going there on the Star Destroyer. Luke's crying on him. Always want to shout out the Return of the Jedi novelization. That scene with Luke's tears on Vader's face or Anakin's face is wonderful to read. And then suddenly there's a voice, and suddenly there's like a, "Hey, buddy, we got something for you." Is that kind of that window of time that you're thinking it can happen?
Yeah, that is. He passes. There's just like a gentle guiding of, stay who you are.
Yeah, you got this. You got this.
Yeah, welcome home. Welcome home, Anakin.
Yeah. Okay, we got some great ones coming here. I have little ones that are almost pointless in the big conversation of it all. But I do believe that Han is not on tape in the ATSD when he says it's all over, Commander. And I think he gets out of the ATSD and leaps down really fast and is maybe caught by 6 Ewoks and is ready to be there when all the Imperials walk out.
There's the headcanon of that action figure that he doesn't just put the ATSD pilot helmet on, but in fact the entire outfit. Like, are you guys doing a close shot or a wide shot for this quick trick? Can you imagine Chewie and Leia yelling at him like, "Come on!"
Yeah.
The whole costume.
We'll take some more. By the way, I did want to share. So the one I had in 2014 as a complete joke, mentioned it often on Jedi Alliance, and it could still happen. Could still happen. I've always wanted Mon Mothma and Cris Nad to have a bit of a passionate later in life dating relationship. That they find each other when they need each other after the war, and that they kind of get a chance to settle down and open up a space bed and breakfast together. I used to joke about that. Now I'm like, I still want that. I still want that for Mothma.
Yeah. My headcanon now is going to be that Mothma partied hard at that Ewok village celebration. Like, there's some great stuff in the novel Princess and the Scoundrel about that. But I think Mothma cut loose.
I think she does. I think the Niamos dance mix is played through some rudimentary, Ewok speaker, and she's like, finally, I can do this again.
Yeah, her and Sherpa bonding over how difficult leadership is and just dancing.
Absolutely love that.
So
all right, we got a lot coming in here. I'm going to start. I'll start the bidding with this one, Joseph. Our buddy Brian Moore says, my headcanon is that Basil was starring in his own Disney Plus series that just happened to be taking place at the same time in the same place as the Acolyte. Yes.
Yeah. It's the only thing that truly makes sense of all of his actions, that it's a total Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead. He was having his whole other adventure, and like, if you saw it from his perspective, it would all make perfect sense.
Yeah. No, it's a little Back to the Future too. Like, around the corner was this was happening. We can get the full story. That's one of the things we lost in Acolyte season 2 is the full Basil story, but now pitched as a separate show by Brian. I agree with that there.
Yeah. We got some good super chats here. Gonna grab one of those. This one came in from David Hildebrand. Thank you, David. My headcanon is that the dark side was used to transfer Padme's life force to a dying Anakin. It adds tragic irony that Anakin went to the dark side to save Padme, but going to the dark side is what killed her. We have discussed this before, and I know like people on the internet have like sort of a elaborate breakdowns of shots in Revenge of the Sith. I think somebody else in the chat was discussing as well of like obviously the birth of Vader / death of Anakin and the death of Padme, birth of the twins they're very poetically put together. And everybody's headcanon is everybody's headcanon. I don't personally share this one. I do think the film is extremely ambiguous in exactly what happened. I think the medical droid took a wild guess because they didn't know what was going on. I guess lost the will to live. But for me, I think that they are bound in the Force in some way, and that Anakin's the death of Anakin is some sort of a blow to Padme. I kind of like it being a little bit more ambiguous and floaty and poetic. The Palpatine directly taking one life for the other. I think maybe even the Force is like it's pouring through her to give birth to Luke and Leia, who might have otherwise not been born in a healthy way. The droid doesn't say anything about that. There are lots of things for me, and I really understand where people are coming from with the Palpatine thing. But I don't. I feel like that is maybe giving him too much power in a way.
I think David's certainly not alone with this, and I think you're right. It's definitely, like I said, ambiguous, and you can read into it. And I'm not calling David a conspiracy theorist here, but like I think any good conspiracy theory springs out of just not knowing, right? Not having the answer and filling in the blanks, and it tracks for Palpatine in a way. But I just think at the end of the day, I actually choose to believe that Palpatine's telling a bit of a truth from a certain point of view of you killed her, bub. Like, look what you did. It just kind of works. Now, again, it could still work if he's taking the life force from her. But I just, and obviously we've had long conversations about the will to live and all that stuff. As we've touched upon, quite frankly, there's some, shall we say, urban legends of maybe why Natalie Portman herself wasn't featured as much in the film. There's all that kind of stuff out there. And so it does remain, especially on rewatch in a theater, as I did a couple weeks ago, it remains kind of a glaring, vague spot, not in terms of story, but just overall in terms of this great character. So I think because of that, it inspires a lot of theories to, again, not saying what David's saying, but to make sense. You want it to maybe make more sense or have a clearer answer.
Yeah, because I mean, you start to break it down. Like, okay, a lot of people don't trust the medical droid. You know, is an unreliable narrator. That
Mhm.
she lost the will to live, and as people are saying in the chat, she's still having hope for Anakin. It seems some will. Maybe the medical droid is just wrong about her medical condition when he says there's nothing wrong with
Yeah.
her. Like she did,
Yeah.
childbirth is intense, and she was wounded. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Uh, David has a little wrinkle I've never thought of. To me, there are two mysterious things happening in the scene. Padme dying, and all of a sudden there are twins. Throughout the movie, Padme refers to one baby, not two. What I do like about that, I hadn't stopped and thought about that to the moment of, with the technology they got roaming around there. At some point, I know she's busy. I know a lot of things going on, but at some point she would have, I don't know, some space sonogram might have told her there too. So if there's a bit of a surprise, are they the ones surprised? Did she know? But David, I like that little wrinkle.
hmm yeah, and I think people Bacon Knight Rider says it works fine in the context of fairy tale. Luke Skywalker's last name was never changed because you wouldn't change King Arthur's name. It's a fairy tale. That's not the point.
Yeah.
And I agree with that perspective. The more that I absorb storytelling and the more that I work on telling my own stories, I feel like emotion is always first. And there are times you get in trouble with that where the logic is muddy and audiences get distracted. But I feel like this is one of Lucas's most poetic moments. It feels emotionally right. Padme dies and the twins are born as Anakin dies and Vader is born, and it is all happening at the same time. And the emotional meaning of it, of what could have been, a happy family unit in Anakin and Padme, in the twins are dying, even as the hope of the chosen one dies for now. There is new hope. All of it makes sense on this sort of a poetic level. It's the actual logic of it, of what causes her to die, that we're discussing. But for me, the poetic part of it works.
Yeah, I'm actually admittedly bad at headcanon because anytime I'm in a conversation with someone, they're like, "Yeah, but why did?" I go, "I don't care. It happened. It's there. Have a whiskey. We don't worry about it." I do not cinema sin things to death, but there's fun stuff. James, this is why AI shouldn't get involved in healthcare regarding the droid going as far as we can tell. Hey.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Jay from Nowhere also shares, not just mirroring death and rebirth, but Anakin's mysterious virgin birth ends books marks the mysterious death of his partner. Agreed. All right, people. This is a passionate vein that James Holmes has tapped into with his great questions. So we got more to get to.
Yeah, Obi-Wan Jacoby says, "This is a lively chat today. Having trouble keeping up and hoping my input gets noticed." Now, you had one here. Well, first, I think Igor, I'm going to bring up this one because I think I saw Igor the man had to step out here. So Igor, hopefully you're still here. Thank you for the generous super chat. Inspired by the actors, Han and Leia are heavy smokers. Han definitely smokes on the Falcon, and that's why the walls are yellow. Leia is a stress smoker. Yes, Leia. I have been around many stress smokers, and it's that Leia fits in that category for me. I love this one. Yeah, Han's up to no good for a long time. He's truly a bachelor on the loose. Yeah.
I mean, we got death sticks, which are their own thing, but I'm sure we have some sort of vape pen. In Star Wars, it's kind of like using the S word. As soon as the S word gets used, you're like, where else would it be used? The second we meet a character, well, I mean, we do have there in the cantina. There are people with like space hookahs and all that. It is really funny to imagine, and I'm sure Brian Ward could do some great memes of what great shots of Leia where she's looking really intense, and like down off the corner, she's got one going.
I love there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. She's, maybe that's why her chambers started to melt at the beginning of Empire when 3PO and R2 were complaining about stuff going on. Maybe she didn't want to take the blame for it. She was in there smoking. Obi-Wan Jacoby, this is what you had said. This may have been made explicit somewhere, but I like thinking that Tarkin knows who it is behind the Vader mask. I do think it was, I won't say confirmed, but I've always, number one, had that idea. And then I think in the Tarkin, Lucido.
I think in the Tarkin novelization, I think he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure, based on mentions and tactics, and I think it's but it certainly does seem that way. I mean, and I think that sort of Tarkin, there's mutual respect between Tarkin and Vader, and Tarkin does certainly seem in charge of Vader in A New Hope, and I think that's a part of that.
Yeah. 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 Smoke Wars could be a good series of video edits, says Brian Ward. Yes, a great one there.
Sergeant Fubar, going back to the Padme's passing, either that or the Polis Massans lied on their resume
Yes.
and accidentally killed her somehow, and that droid was helping them cover it up. That is awful and funny.
See, that's how my favorite use of headcanon is that kind of stuff. That's we're talking about. Said awful death, but just some. It's almost the Kevin Smith from Clerks conversations, which usually sets pop culture conversations on a wrong path. But just the contractors on the Death Star headcanon stuff makes me laugh. Never stopped entertaining me.
Great one from Igor. So grab some of these other super chats coming in, and we'll try to get to as many as possible. Or we can talk about this topic more. This is from our friend Addie. Thank you very much, Addie. Luthen being a Padme fan is headcanon. But also after the E.K. Johnson books, I believe that Anakin had to help Padme dress and do her hair every morning. They were hiding Attack of the Clones. Yeah, I mean, one of those deleted scenes I haven't revisited in a while in Attack of the Clones where Padme takes Anakin to her family dinner, and there's the awkward chat with the soon-to-be father-in-law. Man, I love that. I would actually love scenes of Anakin helping Padme dress in the weird tortured young man poetry he would say.
Yeah. It's amazing.
Your hair,
I love that.
Nothing like the harsh wind of Tatooine. Yeah.
Love that there. I have one. Addie mentions Luthen there. I have a little headcanon spot of Leia at some point between the Gorma massacre and where we pick up the final 3 episodes of Andor, that I think Leia has a confrontation with Luthen and Clea in that way of, we know Leia's this, headstrong, dare we say, feisty young senator kind of coming up. Is not afraid to talk back to Tarkin and Vader. And I could see her, because there's already some tension between Bail and them, that she shows up at the shop. She's like, yeah, I'm interested in buying something. You shutting the hell up, Luthen. I think there's a confrontation that helps Bail and Luthen's animosity grow. And the Yavin group and them.
We got to talk a little bit with Addie on our live stream this past Friday about the Luthen being a Padme fan, and I'm all on board with that. We've all seen the headdresses in his shop. And I love the idea that, no, those are specifically Padme's. We know that he has an obsession with Naboo, and I think he'd be having an obsession to, like, this senator stuck it to Palpatine so many times. Keep her spirit alive.
Yeah, indeed. Other ones in here. Brett Marr checking in. My headcanon is that Palpatine had something to do with the death of Anakin's mother. He may have arranged it somehow. Ooh, like... some agents on the ground, some Palpatine ISB action there. I don't know. Sending the Tuscans. Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
Maybe. Yeah. He could have, had an agent to stir that up. It's a really interesting thing for Palpatine, obviously heavily manipulated Anakin in that emotional way of being his sort of only friend, and whispering to him all the things he wanted to hear of how powerful he is and how much the Jedi don't appreciate him and trust him and all that all through his life. But then how much is Palpatine just being like patient to be like, bad things will happen to him and he'll get angry and it'll be great. And like, there's a part of me that almost wants it to be like, no, this horrific thing just happened. Horrific things happened. And Anakin, tells him, my mother was killed and I got mad and I killed him. And Palpatine's just like, yes. Everything's falling into place,
It's the thoughts I love about Palpatine, just like so super planned, but I wonder how much he just left the chance and saw new opportunities. Did he enjoy it? I don't know. Yes, I'm with you on that. Alrighty.
What do you got there, Ken?
I love. We need a little happy one right here. Ziggy Space Dust says Lonnie's wife and kids are safe on Pabu. Phew. Yes. I think they deserve that.
Speaking of headcanon, we've talked about how, Andor's got the great quote about somewhere warm and easy, and then Nyamos does not end up being warm and easy. but then we know that the Bad Batch finds Pabu. How many Pabus do you think are really out there in the era of the Empire? Do you think that there are a decent amount of little safe havens? Not enough for the whole galaxy, obviously.
Yeah, I do. It's hard to separate with the big theme of Andor being you can't run, because I do believe that's true. But what we're talking about with Pabu, about the sanctuary for people involved, or people who need to recover, or people just need a different path, I can see a lot of it there. The galaxy is so huge. It's one of the things I love about it, where we are trapped into our own thinking here on Earth. Of I can't go. Santa Monica's another world away from me right now. I haven't been to Santa Monica in maybe a decade, and it's on the map next to me. So imagine the galaxy, imagine all these planets, and as much as Palpatine thinks he has control over it, a lot of room out there. So I don't know. I don't have a number, 12, but I like the idea of more, and I like exploring it. I like that they could exist.
Yeah. No, I like that. I like that there could be Pabu, but that's very nice that maybe Luthen did horrifically kill Lonnie, in my opinion, but then made the call to some other agent to be like, get the kids out of there, get the family out.
Yeah, he's got a heart. He's got a heart at the end of it. I did. Yeah, it's a calloused heart, but yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, we need the scene where the Tuca cat finds Lonnie's family alive.
Yes, absolutely. Tanalor from the video games there, from the second Jedi Survivor game. There you go. Jared with a generous super chat. We appreciate that. My headcanon, Anakin is indeed the chosen one. The chosen one prophecy is actually fulfilled by the entire Skywalker family. Anakin, Padme, Luke, Leia, Han, Ben, and yes, Rey. No one does it alone. George Lucas may disagree. I think he'd be open to it. Yeah, no, he has many times talked about Anakin being the one, but I think it continues. And look, prophecies are supposed to be, vague enough to fit any time that you're in. This is the upside and downside of prophecies in our own world. So, though I've come to the conclusion that it's Anakin, but it takes a village of chosen ones also works for me.
Yeah, I feel like, Lucas is pretty direct stated at this point in interviews is his intention by the time he's done with the prequels is that Anakin was a chosen one, but I love the wrinkle that Obi-Wan believes it's Luke, that Obi-Wan needs to believe that, tells Maul that, and that Obi-Wan is right in a way that agrees with Jared's headcanon, in that I feel like Anakin makes the right choice at the end of his life to save Luke, thereby destroying Vader and throwing Palpatine down the old shaft. But he would not have been able to accomplish that without the help of his son. So yeah, it takes a chosen village. Yeah. I'll try to get on and off this soapbox quickly. My chosen one headcanon is that it is in universe. It is something that the Jedi take really seriously because it's ancient prophecy and it's controversial and all that. And I feel like some people's interpretation of Star Wars is, it's all about dynasties and who's the most important and special fated kids. And but I love when you break down the chosen one mythology. It's not about how powerful Anakin was. It's about he's been targeted by the Sith and he has these choices in these moments. And it's about the choices he makes. And that the chosen one philosophy is in some ways we are all sort of the chosen one in that we are destined to face whatever life has, whatever the circumstances of our life has caused us to face. In that all of the prophecy stuff ends up being so intimate and personal is, the part of what makes Star Wars special.
I agree. David Bacaisis, headcanon is Darth Maul's legs also survived. Yes. Yes. That's the whole point of Maul Shadow Lord is he ends up confronting his own legs.
Oh my gosh. Maybe they're just dreaming and running. Yep.
Just there's no one else on them. They're just maybe like a Meeber Gascon like character connects to them with some kind of droid interface, and he's just using it as a walker.
Yeah, and people are pointing out, of course, Yoda's line in Revenge of the Sith of a prophecy that misread could have been, and for me, that's about Anakin had the opportunity to fulfill the prophecy by
Mhm.
helping Mace defeat Palpatine, take him into custody, stop the Empire, stop the resurgence of the Sith, and he did not choose that, and that the prophecy was, had an asterisk of like, after really actively choosing not to bring balance to the Force, in fact,
Yeah.
choosing to cause more imbalance to the Force, he will then later on his second
Yes.
swing, make
Yes.
the right choice. That's the way I personally take that prophecy that misread could have been.
Yeah. To me, the prophecy is, we've given him this title. We being the, I don't know, the Wills, who knows? And he has many chances. We'll see. It's not just the one at the end.
He will do this eventually.
Yeah, indeed. We've got some more here. What does Cameron say here? I don't fully hold this canon in my head, but once I saw a quote theory that the whole saga is being retold to us by R2. I don't believe it's true, but it's fun to entertain. Yeah, I think even I remember making a joke in Collider at the end of episode 9, and she'll end with 3PO going, and those were the Star Wars. Like, it could work. It could work.
I think they're. I don't remember where the actual quotes are because they've just lived with them forever. That those are Lucas quotes, but I would have to do the hardcore research and digging that it is from the perspective of the droids, and certainly the first Star Wars film. We kind of start with the perspective of the droids, and we're kind of following their journey through it.
Mm. That's right. Did he? Yeah. Kind of said that before. Yeah. Yes. We'd have to do a Landa-like deep dive into where the quote comes from. I just it's always been there.
And then there's that great Padm comic where we do actually get part of the story from R2's point of view, right? Telling the other droids what happened.
Yeah. R2's so and BB-8 are sharing stories, and all the other droids got it. If anyone hasn't checked that out, it's early in the Padm run. It's an amazing bit. Just literally talking about, it's all the Astromechs sharing war stories, and it's tragic and fascinating and heartbreaking.
Yeah. The joke of 3PO saying, and those were the Star Wars, are very funny, but I feel like he would then correct himself, like, well, technically it was more the individual planets fighting rather than stars, and I guess really people.
Yeah. Systems. Though there was some that involved. And there was also Pabu. There was 12 Pabus.
Yeah.
Dr. Professor 756 is my favorite recent piece of headcanon. Tay Kolma was killed through an ejecto seat type deal at the end of episode 3 that then causes Cinta to crash. I think it's all connected.
Yeah, I mean, I have that image to me is undeniable. Such a funny contrast to how badass and frightening Cinta's appearance is. Like, she is just this angel of death, and then she hits the boing button, and it just goes flying out. Mountains of Chandrila.
Yeah, I love that. John Carroll has one that I think is both true and funny. Another one, since Andor and Han both served on Mimban, the two knew each other. Yeah, I can absolutely see that, and it's a shame, they don't get to meet again. There's no Cassian at the medal ceremony going, I knew that guy. What about me?
Yeah, I mean, really, the solo special edition where we see young Andor watching Han run.
Yes. Yeah. Like, is that guy running with a muddy Wookiee? What's going on? A Wookiee? That's
hilarious.
Beautiful.
We got to follow up with this on the Jared Kozel asks, real question, does Tay's death feature the old Wilhelm scream or the new one? I think a new one if he's CGI'd, old one if he's a dummy, as he's ejected.
This is a great one from Jared. Thank you for the generous super chat. Post Andor headcanon. Luthen knew about and supported Enfys Nest and the Cloud Riders, and she and Clea were friends, or just me, wish casting, and Aaron Kellyman and Elizabeth Dula, Buddy Adventure. On board for all of that. We're big fans of Enfys Nest and the Cloud Riders here, and I think many times over the years before the show actually showed up and was slightly, I'd say, different than what we thought we were getting, in a great way, obviously, but I thought there was going to be more of that kind of stuff. Spy Network, the rebellion forming, and to me, Enfys Nest and the Cloud Riders are definitely part of that story. So I think by the time we see them in Solo, they're kind of very much on their own, and we know what I forget the timeline. Was it 5 more years, 2 more years, and since till Andor? I got to review my timeline, but I think by the time Andor starts, yeah, Luthen's checked in. Luthen's checked in on the adventures of the Cloud Riders.
I believe in the Solo novelization, she brings the money to Saw, right?
She does. Or is it? Yeah, she does. And then is it Rebel Rising? Yeah, Rebel Rising, where Enfys Nest and the young Jyn have a conversation as she's walking into a meeting with Saw. Jyn kind of says something like, "He will lie to you" or whatever.
I don't think so. I think Rebel Rising was before Solo.
Yeah, you're right.
A good margin.
That makes sense.
But yeah, I bet how Luthen would feel about, like, I mean, Mothma seems like his money train, but maybe Enfys, maybe he's like, hey, don't bring that money to Saw, bring it to me.
Bring it to me.
Seems likely.
Bring me your money, Enfys. Yeah. Sorry, weird noises. Gardeners arrived. I thought for a second, earthquake, jumping. Apologies.
Saw blew it on Rido, says.
Yeah. And yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, the Solo novelization, totally. Rebel Rising, so long ago. We got some other headcanons in here. Obi-Wan Jacoby says, one of my favorites is Jerjerrod's conflict in Return of the Jedi when Palpatine tells him to fire on Andor after the shield goes down. There had been discussion, in the chat about how much we consider various deleted scenes headcanon or not. And I think they are kind of like headcanon, because they do get, sometimes they're like, well, maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. And other times they're like, no, we cut that because it didn't happen. We decided that didn't happen. And that's why it's a deleted scene. And so I think that there's a difference there. But yeah, I love that. I love that. That wrinkle, that, like, and I think a lot of the Imperial storytelling has done a good job with that, of like, wait, I thought we were the military protecting the galaxy, legitimate government, fighting rebels, fine. You want me to fire on our own people? Yeah.
Nope. I'm not. Yeah. I can't. I'm conflicted on that. Great.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Moff Tian Jerjerrod, I think he's a company man, but he's got he didn't sign up for everything going on. I think maybe that's just me. I've been such a fan of the character. I just want him to have that one little sliver of goodness in him, but not to be.
What else do you see, Ken, that you want to grab?
This one from Brian Ward. Dash Rendar is just a name Han gives the cops to get out of trouble. I accept that as fact. True canon. There is no Dash Rendar. Just a character having adventures that's actually Han, and the name's in the system. I can get on. As far as I know, the Outrider, it exists. All right, sure, it exists. But I think Han pulled a Wayne's World 2 and just was like, oh, that's my ship. Dash is on that ship. He's there. It's not me. It's that guy.
His shoulder pads should have been in Andor's museum. That would have been, I think, a real tribute to Dash Rendar.
Yes, indeed. Absolutely. Anyone's jumping out to you?
This is a big one that has been addressed a little bit in the publishing that I think a lot of us used to have or discuss in different ways. Gas Nottingham talking about Leia remembering her mother, as she does in Return of the Jedi. Based on reading Queen Shadow, spoiler, one of Padme's handmaidens went to Alderaan to help Bail and Brea Organa raise Leia, so that perhaps Leia is conflating having actually seen a woman who looks very much like her mother with actual memories. I really like the headcanon that I think has been floated in some publishing stuff, that Leia saw Padme through Force visions. And it mingled with, the memories of a young child. That one really makes a lot of sense to me, and I kind of find it beautiful. Not like just we got to plug this logic hole because of the timeline of Padme's death. How do you feel about any headcanon towards Leia knowing what her mother looked like? Kind and beautiful and sad.
Yeah, no, I definitely feel, and I think it was the Leia comic in 2015, right? The 5-issue run where she goes back to Naboo. I think she feels a shiver of Maul, even, I think. Everyone in chat can maybe fill in the details for me. It's been 10 years. But I like that. It makes a lot of sense, especially, she was so unaware of, the force around her is we've seen Leia, Prince of Alderaan, that big jump she makes, not knowing how. Everything about it. So it tracks in terms of a handmaiden, Sabe herself, everything we know she's existing and out in the galaxy doing things, stopping by and looking for information. That kind of thing could work for me too, kind of combined. But I definitely feel the Force was at work there now. Because thanks, George, you gave us a lot of room to play with on that.
Nick Arcus says Leia was ironically telling Luke her headcanon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
indeed.
It's fun to think then if Luke communing with the Force would eventually have visions of his mother. I mean, Yoda says, through the Force you'll see old friends long gone. So
yeah, absolutely. Justin Amaranth has a general thought about headcanon. I have thoughts in my headcanon. I divide things into headcanon, connecting tissue that isn't yet fleshed out and doesn't break canon, and Fanon, a fun thing to think about that doesn't fit into the story. Yes, that's a great way to look at it, too. It could be sometimes like one of the last ones I have in my head is like my headcanon as of right now, Kelleran Beck does take Grogu to Jar Jar. You and I have discussed that. Everyone's discussed that. It just makes sense, and they have the clues there. So if that answer ends up being something else, and it's Rick Ollier or Rick Ollier Jr., then so be it. But in my head, that's something I'm waiting for. So it's headcanon / prediction. But until proven otherwise, I'm going with that.
No, I absolutely think that Kelleran Beck rescues Grogu, and I think Kelleran Beck dies, which begins to give Grogu some of the difficulties in letting go. I love the Mandalorian tradition of listen to this trauma hammer as it forges your Beskar armor and work through anything that's going to hold you back. And I think it's not just information for us. Like, why is that what Grogu is going through? Oh, it's obviously the trauma of Order 66, but then it's just the beginning of what he needs to work through.
Right. Yeah. Indeed. Addie has this. Yeah, right. There's one shot left of the Revenge of the Sith that never happens in any of the lead scenes of Padme. They still want to know what they were going to do with, if it was going to be a Force vision or something in a special edition. Addie just jogged my memory. There was something in Legend, right? Those Lucas urban legends of they were going to do this, or they had a shot of Padme perhaps doing that. I will have to look that up. Does anyone, or anyone know?
Yeah, I don't remember that myself, but yeah, I want every scrap of Padme footage that we can get.
Yeah, it's like Addie just jogged like a Star Wars Insider section of my brain from some kind of issue in 2007 or something. There we go. All right, anything else here? Got a few minutes left.
We got here a couple more. Scrolling through. We talked a bit about that one already. This comes to us from Will McLean. I am not sure if this is answered in books or comics, but Qui-Gon knew he was going to die while meditating at end of Phantom Menace. I don't think that's the way it's covered in the Phantom Menace novelization. I haven't read that in years, but I remember in the Phantom Menace novelization, Qui-Gon being really concerned about ending this quickly, stopping them all quickly, because his attention was needed to help others, and not wanting the Sith to escape and harm others. I feel like, for myself, I just feel like that meditation was I am going to stick to the ways of the Jedi. This is not exciting to me. This is not pleasant to me. This is a sadness that must occur, that I have to stop this person. And I'm not going to be baited by him to let go of my calm.
Yeah.
Is the way that I have always taken it. And maybe, I guess, from Will's perspective of like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I will do my best. And if I die, so be it. Maybe there is I took a knee and I realized, well, that's it for old Qui-Gon. But I think certainly openness to whatever is necessary. Like if Qui-Gon could have stopped Maul by giving his life on purpose, he absolutely would have, I think. Good Jedi. What do you think about this, Ken?
Yeah, I like the idea that he was just center himself. That he was he would have gone in regardless, even if he knew he was going to die or not. But I just think I like it being open ended for him. That it was a fight he needed to win for Anakin in his future. So he was just getting ready for the final hacks and slashes. In my mind, little game time, pre-game, taking a knee.
Mm-hmm. He's just thinking about the speech from Coach Taylor from Friday Night.
Cameron says, I agree, Jeff, but what if he had listened to the soundtrack before the movie? Yeah,
what if he meditated and he got a spoiler? Oh no. I see the future. I see Obi-Wan training Anakin. Hey, where am I? Uh-oh.
Yeah. Let's see. We got super chat from our buddy Ken Plume. Recast the Star Wars movie show entirely with squirrels. Squirrel Wars? Sure.
Squirrel Wars. Yeah,
sure.
They're all squirrels, and yes, whenever they freeze to really stare at something, that's when they're meditating.
Yes. And the sounds of squirrels and the movements of the tails. I'm sure there's some edited footage somewhere on the internet of squirrels fighting with lightsabers in their hands. If there isn't, we need it.
Qui-Gon's noble end. My what?
What are you talking about?
We got a few more starred here. Dachshund 1321. My most precious headcanon. Hondo took care of Katuni in the early Empire. Oh, and his failed efforts to protect her are what took him from pirate Commodore to con man. Oh, that is sweet.
I can see that.
I do love the building of connection with Hondo having a soft spot for kids. Going from kidnapping them to kind of being like, all right, kind of okay to I'm your weird uncle, Ezra.
Hey, everyone, we're having a good time.
Hey, let's have a McDonald's birthday party for Ezra. I'm your weird uncle.
It's the path of Hondo is it's almost a TV trope of, a character shows up season 1 of a show, and then by season 3 the writers are like, we got comedy gold here. We gotta do something else with this character.
I love that though. Yeah, and finding out what happened to all those kids is particularly brutal.
Yeah. Love that. We've got super chat here from Randy Tillman. I don't know if this is headcanon, but I always felt like Ben Solo saving the one he loved from dying after turning to the light was poetic, something Anakin tried to do before turning to the dark.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel like the meaning that you take on a sort of emotional level, a spiritual level, is that's your emotional canon, and that there is great truth to that emotional canon. I know a lot of fans have enjoyed the contrast of angry Ben as Kylo saying, "I will finish what you started," to the Mask of Vader, and ironically finishing what Anakin started of, yes, saving the one he loved, not through control, but by release and letting go.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, a good poetic end indeed, because as we've heard before, it's poetry. It all rhymes.
And it is, and I do. I know people have lots of strong opinions about how Ben Solo was handled and wanting him to live on, and I get that, but I also do feel like there is such a meaning, not just for Ben, but for the Skywalker legacy in that act. I really like that emotional canon.
Thank you. Matty Gunner just texted me, squirrels with lightsabers. All right. My afternoon is sorted. Thank you. Thank you. A couple more minutes left here. We're going to wrap up our conversation, which seems like, Joseph, like you said, part 1 of Headcanon.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff. So much good stuff. Here's one for me that's like, I don't know, headcanon, or is it just canon yet to be told, that I want to ask your opinion about, Ken. Okay. We don't know much about Snoke. Like, we still don't know, like, obviously he was a puppet of Palpatine, but was he a sentient puppet? Did Snoke exist and think he had his own thoughts, and then it would suddenly just go like, burp, 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 I got Palpatine thoughts now? Or was he a total meat puppet, always just saying the words of of Palpatine. There's that. And then we know that Luke and Leia were aware of him.
Yeah.
That Luke says Snoke had already turned his heart. We know from the Rise of Kylo Ren comic book that Ben was going off and meeting him in person. So do you think Luke and Snoke actually did have a conflict? Do you think, as some fans do, that Luke effed up Snoke?
Effed up Snoke? Yeah, I still kind of get behind that idea. It's just fun more than anything. It would have been something I would have enjoyed hearing about. I don't know if we would have seen it. But that the expansion of the idea with Snoke and his weird hat or hair or whatever he's got going.
He's got a weird little hat there when he meets Ben in person on.
Yeah. You know, I just like the idea that he's this kind of shady dude that shows up and is whispering things, and that at one point Luke would kind of be like, "Hey, who are you? What do you say to my nephew?" I think there would have been something going on there. And then just, his connection to the First Order, his rise in the First Order, Rey Sloane, where she might have gone off to, or her bad fate. Like, I think there's so much more to explore with that. It's good. It's nostalgia headcanon from 2015.
And Obi-Wan Jacoby, yes, that was the Maxine Station from the High Republic. I couldn't remember the name, but yeah, that was a little seed for the High Republic. The attack on Snoke's life has left him scarred and deformed. That's great. Yeah, there's also like we know that the First Order is like they're known, right? Of like, we're just look, we don't want any problems. We've just kind of claimed this little, kind of come back from the unknown regions, and we've claimed this little area of space, but don't worry about us. And the New Republic is appeasing and saying they're happy with that. They're just going to invade Poland and stop there. So don't freak out.
Don't
everybody
worry about it.
Just let it go. But did Snoke present himself to the New Republic as the leader or aligned? I kind of think he presented, this is my headcanon right now, that he presented himself to the galaxy is like this wise self-help guru. Maybe even had a YouTube show on the HoloNet. Self-help. And then, like, you know what? I've been listening to both sides, and the First Order has some good points, everybody.
Yeah. I've been thinking, man. I've been asking questions. And Amarantha points out, I know Red Skywalker always made me wonder why pickled Snoke had the same battle damage. Yeah. That's just how those figures were manufactured. Battle damage Snoke. Love that there.
Yeah.
All right, just getting ready to get out of here. But Hugo comes in and says, "Great show, gents. My headcanon to come is that Reva joined Roken on the path to rescue and protect Force-sensitive individuals, especially the children. I can get behind that. Love that idea. Makes a lot of sense. And also reminds us that a lot of us still want more from the path."
Yeah, no, I mean, I think with Kenobi the show being so tied to the fate of children, and Reva having her epiphany of like, I am so scarred from feeling like I was not protected and I was wounded as a child. And in order to get vengeance for that, I almost wounded a child. Feels like she would be in the right place to go, what can I do now? I can help other children who are force sensitive not go through what I did. Seems, wonderful.
Dare I say, pay it forward or correct it. Love it. I think that's about it. Do you see got any other ones there?
Let's see. No, I think we got a couple more coming in, but we should wrap up for the day. Thank you, everyone. This is so much fun to see all these different headcanons and to have a real fun discussion about what is headcanon and how we define it.
Absolutely. And we'll get Jennifer back on. I'm sure she's got a lot of headcanon about Bright Tree Village and the Ewoks, as do I and you. So we'll discuss it more. Appreciate y'all tuning in live today. Links to find us are down below on YouTube. If you're listening, you can find us on social media at ForceCenter Pod. Check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/ForceCenter. And that's it. We'll see you next time. Bye.